Have you ever stood before a symbol, ancient or modern, and felt it speaking to something deep inside you, a whisper beyond words, an echo of recognition that tingles your very soul? What if I told you that these shapes etched in stone, brushed on papyrus, woven into carpets, or glowing from corporate skyscrapers are more than mere designs? What if, beneath their silent faces, they hold the original language of the divine, secrets encoded not in letters, but in shapes and forms that speak directly to the subconscious, bypassing the noisy chatter of our everyday minds? Tonight, we're plunging beneath the surface of reality's tapestry, into a realm where the square and the circle hold court, where the serpent devours its tail for eternity, and where every crossroad, triangle, and spiral is a doorway. Imagine a language woven so tightly into the fabric of existence that its vocabulary is seen but not noticed, a tongue so ancient that it predates all alphabets, all spoken tongues, and perhaps even the birth of time. Why do certain patterns haunt our dreams? Why did the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Mayans all revere similar emblems, thousands of miles and years apart? Is it mere coincidence, or is there a hidden current, a cosmic order expressed through the symbolic? In this journey, we'll peel back the veils shrouding the true power of symbols. We'll unlock the secret meanings of sacred geometry, decipher patterns buried within forgotten temples and modern logos alike, and reveal how these potent keys can awaken your perception and alter the way you interact with the world. We'll explore why this knowledge was carefully guarded or deliberately obscured by priests, mystics, and secret societies throughout the ages. So, are you ready to listen with eyes that see? Prepare for a journey beyond the obvious. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a symbol the same way again, for you will know that every symbol is a portal, an invitation to peek behind the curtain of reality. Let us begin. Long before the hand pressed pen to paper, before language as we know it had split the world into discrete syllables and meanings, our ancestors spoke a different way. Imagine the first humans gathered around the flickering firelight, eyes wide as elders traced shapes in the earth. A spiral, a circle, a line crossed over itself. These weren't idle doodles. They were transmissions, codes to be interpreted, remembered, invoked. In the temple ruins of ancient Egypt, the cartouches of pharaohs were more than royal signatures. They were declarations of cosmic order, marrying the earthly to the eternal. The Eye of Horus, the Ankh, the scarab, all symbols, humming with layers of meaning. To the uninitiated, they seemed ornamental. But for the initiated, every curve, every intersection, was a message from the divine, a prayer in visual form. Travel further east, and you'll find similar mysteries. In the Sanskrit of the Rig Veda, sound and symbol were seen as indivisible. Om, that sacred syllable, is not just a sound, it's a symbol, capturing the birth, existence, and dissolution of all things. In Taoist traditions, the yin-yang is more than a simple motif. It is a living principle, illustrating the ceaseless dance of opposites, light and dark, male and female, order and chaos, locked in perpetual embrace. But why symbols? Why this visual language that persists stubbornly across time and civilization? Because symbols bypass the linear mind. They spiral past language, touching something timeless and universal. Carl Jung, the 20th century psychologist, referred to archetypes, primordial images etched deep in the collective unconscious. He claimed that symbols are how the psyche communicates with itself and with us, far beyond the reach of conscious thought. And yet, as civilizations rose and fell, this knowledge drifted into secrecy. In Greece, mystery schools like those of Eleusis transmitted symbolic rituals but demanded strict silence. In the Middle Ages, cryptic symbols sheltered forbidden wisdom from the Inquisitor's flame. Even the most iconic symbols like the pentagram or the serpent have shifted from sacred emblems to misunderstood signs, their original meanings buried beneath centuries of fear, ignorance, or deliberate manipulation. Why was this wisdom hidden, you might wonder? Not all secrets are meant for everyone, the ancients believed. These symbols were keys, potent, transformative, sometimes dangerous when misused. The knowledge carriers, the priests, shamans, alchemists, knew that some doors require preparation before they are opened. And so, symbols became the language of secrets, encoded in art, architecture, and story, guarding their truth for those with eyes to see and hearts prepared to receive. Understanding the language of symbols isn't mere scholarship, it's a spiritual awakening, a reclamation of the original alphabet that creation itself has been whispering since the dawn of time. Tonight, we step into that story, your story where every symbol is an invitation, a map, and a mirror. Next, we'll unfold the true mechanics behind this ancient tongue, and how you can use its power to transform your inner and outer world. Are you beginning to see the patterns? Or, perhaps, have the patterns begun to see you? To truly grasp the language of symbols, we must step beyond the boundaries of intellect, into a world where meaning is not linear but layered, where a single shape can be a story, a force, a silent incantation. Let's begin with perhaps the most primal form, the circle, soft, unbroken, containing all within its infinite embrace. In nearly every temple, from Stonehenge to the mandalas of Tibet, the circle reigns. It signifies wholeness, eternity, the cycle of birth and rebirth. But it is also a mirror inviting us to remember the source from which all things emerge, and to which they return. The sun and moon are circles, as is the pupil of your eye, gazing outwards and inwards at once. Pair the circle with a point at its center, and you have the symbol of the monad used by hermeticists, astrologers, alchemists. Here is unity, focus, the divine seed. This is not just an abstract idea. In meditation, focusing on a central point draws you inwards, collapsing the chaos of thought into the oneness of consciousness. Now, imagine the triangle, 3 points, 3 sides, a trinity manifest. In Egypt, the triangle encoded the secret of the pyramids: stability, power, the union of the earthly and the celestial through its apex. In Christianity, it becomes the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. In alchemy, the union of body, soul, spirit. The triangle points upward, invoking aspiration, inverted, descent, matter over spirit. Yet it is not mere forms. Consider the serpent, the symbol of transformation, of mortality and immortality, wisdom and temptation. In one hand, it slithers through the Garden of Eden, upending paradise and awakening the knowledge of good and evil. In the other, it circles itself as the Ouroboros, devouring its own tail, eternal return, cycles of existence, the end that is the beginning. These images strike deeper than words. Let's play with a modern example. Look at the logos that crowd your world. Why is the Apple logo a bitten apple? Why does the Mercedes-Benz emblem circle a trident-like star? Subtle, ancient echoes the apple, a nod to knowledge. The trident, a symbol of mastery over realms. The power of a symbol lies precisely in what it does not say. Words can be cages, symbols are portals. When you glimpse a symbol, your mind awakens not to one meaning, but to many, all at once. This is why ancient wisdom schools insisted their secrets be transmitted through image, gesture, and ritual. Take the tarot, for instance, a deck of cards, yes, but each a painting, a myth, a clue into the architecture of the soul. The Fool is not simply innocence or naivety, it is the cosmic zero, the traveler, the limitless possibility of unformed potential. Symbols are living, evolving. They grow richer as you gaze upon them, unraveling more secrets as your consciousness expands. Sometimes, their meaning is revealed only through dream, vision, or meditation, never fully captured, always beckoning you further. But here's the question that teases the edge of mystery. Who first dreamed these forms? Did they arise from the human mind, or have they always existed, waiting to be discovered like stars in the sky? Are we the inventors, or merely translators of a cosmic language imprinted in the very fabric of reality? These are the currents we navigate when we begin to study not just the history of symbols, but their inner life, their power to shape our reality the way hands shape clay. Just as the ancient initiates did, you stand at the threshold. Are you prepared to look deeper? Let us venture even deeper, for if symbols are the original language of the divine, then surely they conceal paradox, contradiction, and truth in their silent embrace. Consider the duality at the heart of the cross. In its simplest form, 2 lines intersecting, it's a meeting point, a union of above and below, spirit and matter. The vertical line reaches toward heaven, the horizontal stretches across the earth. In Christian tradition, this becomes an instrument of sacrifice. In ancient sun worship, it is the solar wheel, marking the passage of the seasons. Early civilizations carved the cross into stone as a sign of protection, while at the heart of the Egyptian ankh lies a cross crowned with a circle, an emblem of eternal life. Look also to the spiral, perhaps the most ancient of all. Etched into Neolithic tombs, painted on the walls of Paleolithic caves, the spiral is the story of the universe: birth, expansion, dissolution, and rebirth. DNA itself is a spiral. Galaxies swirl in spirals. It is a reminder that time is not a straight line, but a looping, ever-unfolding dance, a mystery that modern science and mystical lore both affirm. But symbols are not always what they seem. Over centuries, they have been subverted and misunderstood. The pentagram, for example, once a sign of harmony, the human microcosm, became entangled in superstitious dread and paranoia. The swastika, ancient Hindu symbol of auspiciousness and eternity, was twisted into an emblem of hate. How does a symbol's meaning change? By who uses it, the context, the intent. This is both the gift and the danger. Symbols are alive, and like any living thing, vulnerable to manipulation, even inversion. Now, let us step into the labyrinth, another enduring symbol. To some, a puzzle or a trap; to others, a map for soul initiation. In Crete, the Minotaur prowls its center. For Christian pilgrims, the labyrinth at Chartres represents the journey to the holy. Walked in meditation, it mirrors the spiraling search for meaning, the confrontation with inner monsters, and, if you are persistent, the finding of the sacred center. Intriguingly, quantum physicists and mystics sometimes meet in the territory between symbol and reality. Think of Schrödinger's cat, the box both closed and open, the cat alive and dead, a paradox packaged in symbol. Or consider the ancient alchemists, drawing dragons that devour themselves, or trees whose roots and branches intertwine the very images we now discover mirrored in neural networks, in the synapses of the human brain. Perhaps the most profound insight about the language of symbols is this: a symbol is a container. It holds not just one meaning, but entire worlds of meaning, accessible in proportion to your depth of perception. What you see is often a reflection of what you are ready to understand. This is why every true esoteric tradition is veiled in symbol. The tree of life in Kabbalah is both a diagram and a process, both a map of the cosmos and the soul. The lotus in Eastern mysticism is a pretty flower, but also the archetype of spiritual awakening, unfolding petal by petal from muddy origins into radiant clarity. And yet, symbols resist being entirely owned. They demand participation. If you treat them merely as puzzles to be solved, they remain mute. Approach with reverence, and they begin to reveal their layers. A wise practitioner learns to meditate upon a symbol not to force a rigid meaning, but to invite revelation. Myth, too, is built from symbols. The hero's journey, the descent into the dark underworld, the climb toward light. The same motifs repeat because the psyche, longing for wholeness, speaks in this ancient language. These patterns can be found in movies, brands, even internet memes, all evolving, all alive. So, do symbols have power over us, or do we wield power with them? The answer, as so often in esoteric matters, is both. Ignorance makes us servants of symbols, acting out stories we do not understand. Awareness, true gnosis, makes us their co-creators and interpreters. What then are the symbols moving in your life? Which ones call to you, haunt your dreams, appear again and again at moments of significance? To work with symbols consciously is to become an alchemist of the soul, forging new meaning from the old, and discovering the keys that unlock destiny. But how, you might ask, can one begin this sacred work? In our next section, we move from philosophy to practice, unlocking the tools that bring the language of symbols to life, here and now, in your own story. Now that the veils are parted and you stand in the presence of these ancient messengers, how do you invite the silent speech of symbols into the living pulse of your daily life? How can you become not just a student, but a practitioner of this mysterious language? Begin with a ritual as old as humanity itself, contemplation. Choose a symbol that calls to you: a mandala, a spiral, a cross, or even a logo you encounter every day. Bring it before you in meditation, either as a physical image or within your imagination. Let your gaze rest upon it, not forcing meaning, but allowing your mind to become quiet, open, breathe. Watch as thoughts and feelings rise up. In time, you may notice the symbol shifting, revealing new patterns, new sensations within you. This practice is called active imagination, rooted in Jungian psychology, and it opens the door for synchronicity and intuitive insight. You may wish to keep a symbol journal, a record of symbols appearing in your dreams, moments of heightened emotion, or recurring events in your life. Look for patterns. Perhaps the owl keeps showing up in dreams, or the triangle appears wherever you turn. What qualities, emotions, or life phases are linked to these appearances? Over time, your own symbolic lexicon emerges, unique and alive, a personal map to the unconscious. For those willing to go further, adopt the art of intentional symbolism. Surround yourself with chosen emblems that embody qualities you wish to cultivate. Hang a mandala to inspire balance. Wear a pendant of the ankh for vitality. Place a labyrinth drawing where you meditate. These are not mere decorations, they become anchors, focusing your subconscious to transform intention into being. Ancient mystics wore amulets not from superstition, but to remind themselves of their place in the cosmic order. Dreamwork offers another direct channel. Before sleep, gently focus on a symbol and ask for guidance. Upon waking, record what visits your inner landscape. Dreams package wisdom in hyper-condensed symbols. Decode these messages and you may find solutions to waking dilemmas, hints from the deeper self, or glimpses of paths yet unwalked. But tread this path carefully. Beware the temptation to become dogmatic, to assign rigid, universal meanings to every symbol. Remember, the meaning of the serpent or spiral, cross or pentagram, shifts with context, culture, and consciousness. What liberates one may bind another. Approach each symbol less as a code to crack, and more as a relationship to build, honoring both tradition and your unique resonance. You may also notice resistance, the rational mind dismissing this as fanciful, or an impatience for quick answers. This is natural. The symbolic is ambiguous by design, speaking to both the intellect and intuition. With continued work, you'll find your perception sharpening, dreams deepening, and synchronicities multiplying, life itself starting to whisper in signs and omens. Lastly, cultivate discernment. Not all symbols vibrate with the same light. Some are charged with fear, commercial manipulation, or collective residue. Learn to sense the energy. A symbol that leaves you feeling drained or troubled may belong to an old story you've outgrown, or be a signal to look closer, to ask what you need to release or transform. Over time, the ordinary becomes the extraordinary. The leaf's veins mirror rivers, mirroring your own blood, mirroring lightning in the night sky. The world reveals itself as concentric layers of meaning, beckoning you to look closer, to see with the eyes of the soul. In the poet's words, the universe is not made of atoms, but of stories. Symbols are the alphabet of those stories, standing ready, as soon as you learn to listen, to speak to you in the tongue of eternity. In the final act, we will weave this wisdom into a closing tapestry, and leave you with the ultimate question, one that only you can answer. You have journeyed today through a hidden realm, where ancient glyphs and silent emblems pulse with meaning, inviting wonder, reverence, and transformation. We have seen how symbols are not mere relics or decorations, they are living bridges, spanning the gulf between visible and invisible, mortal and eternal. In their curves and intersections, every question ever asked, every story ever told, waits to awaken again in you. Remember, behind each symbol stands not just a concept, but a power, a pattern. The circle's completeness, the spiral's growth, the cross's intersection, each shapes not only our myths and religions but the very wiring of myth within us. Across centuries, symbols have ruled empires, guided seekers, and challenged the complacency of the merely literal. The language of symbols is a call to awaken, to see that every image, every dream, every fleeting pattern in daily life may hold a personal or universal message, if only we dare to receive it. The ancient ones guarded these truths, not to hoard, but to preserve their potency for those who approach with humility and longing. Now, in a world drowning in images yet starving for meaning, this language still offers its wisdom to those who seek, just as it did to the priests, mystics, and visionaries of old. So, I ask you, will you let the world remain a blur of surface impressions? Or will you accept the invitation to perceive with new eyes, to find the hidden maps etched in both the architecture of the cosmos and the intimate temple of your heart? Let this be more than a fascination. Let it be the beginning of a relationship with the ineffable, with the stories spiraling behind all things. Begin to notice the symbols that surround you, honor them, question them, let them speak, and see how your reality transforms as you become fluent in the first, and perhaps final, language of the divine. If this journey has stirred something within a spark, a curiosity, a hunger for deeper seeing, share your reflections, or the symbols that call to you, in the comments below. Subscribe for more hidden wisdom, and join our growing circle of seekers on this path of unveiling. The next symbol you encounter may well be your calling. Will you answer? Until next time, may your eyes be open, your heart attentive, and your spirit ready for whispers from the realm beyond words.